Here we go!
What's going on, everybody? Hopefully you are doing well. Thank you so much for coming on by for another round of whatever we're calling this these days. Because it kind of is different all the time, right? So you never know. I am just checking my audio here on my monitor. That sounds pretty good. Let me know if I peek out. I was listening to myself on a recording the other day, but it was a Teams recording, and it sounded like I was like the top end of my voice was getting crushed. So let me know how it sounds on your end, and hopefully you are doing well. Welcome to the 10 o'clock hour here on YouTube here in the Central Time Zone for another round of discussing things with Dante Controller. Now, this actually comes from a request, an ask that GoWeb had made a little while ago, and so lo and behold, look who is in the chat but GoWeb himself. And so always a pleasure to have you here. Hopefully you are doing well over there in India, you and your daughter Sanaya. Hopefully you are having a good 2026. Hey, what's going on, Angus? Hey, it's the Jono Knutson Happy Fun Timing Troubleshooting Hour. At least that's what it used to be. I actually, the other day, yesterday, I went back to my Bird Dog John account, and I have almost 1,000 followers over there, which is 3 times as many as I have here. So that is hilarious that I am better at what I did when I'm not adding content to the channel than here. So that's hilarious, and good job, me. Maybe it's just people finding those videos useful, and so they subscribe. But hey, congrats, you're audible. Excellent. Glad to know that I can be heard. So yeah, the Bird Dog John channel continues to grow over on the Bird Dog side. It has not been turned off. I did go through and watched a couple of videos, including my farewell, which was recorded on a winter break right before we came back. So, or maybe it was like right in the new year of 2024. And that's when I stepped away from Bird Dog 2 weeks after that. So that was an interesting, many moons ago. It feels like a long time ago now. I've been doing this for a couple of years. So pretty fun. Thank you for all of you who subscribe to the channel. That is greatly appreciated. The few, the loyal, the courageous. I don't know what to say about that. That's the United States Marine phrase. Also, I went down and got our show non-sponsored today, which is actually, this is Starbucks coffee. I know in the description it says hopefully Tim Hortons, but that didn't happen today because I still had half a pot from this morning for when we made this, and it's almost gone. So caffeine has hit the system. I have been actually up and out of the house this morning over to my kids' and wife's school, where my son had a birthday this week. He turned 8, which is really fun. But at the school, they add to the library for every kid's birthday, and the teacher picks a book that reflects the kid's personality and like things that they would be interested in. And then that kid gets that book dedicated to them in the library, and they get to bring it home for like 3 weeks or something like that as the first person to read the book. So today was his birthday book, and his birthday was on Monday, and then today was his birthday book, and he is fairly shy, and so we didn't know if he was going to go in front of it's just the lower grades, so the kindergarten, pre-K, first grade, second grade, they're kind of together in the morning, and we didn't know if he was going to go up in front of all of them, and he did, which was amazing. So happy that he had the courage to do that, and yeah, he's growing a fair bit. So he got to have his birthday book, and he stood up there, and his teacher said a lot of nice things about him and gave him his birthday book, and all the kids sang happy birthday for him, and it was great. And then he sat with me during the rest of the little program that they had, and then I realized that I hadn't gotten him. You know how now the standard is you bring your kid snacks on their birthday for their class, and so we didn't do that. So I ran to the grocery store and did that, went back to the school, dropped those off, then came home. So I've actually only been home for 30 minutes. So I'm a little disheveled, but I'm ready to go nonetheless, because with these shows that actually have a theme, we actually have something to talk about. So all good there. It is... Now, I do have a couple of things right off the bat as we kind of gain momentum here and start to talk things through. This is being streamed over on YouTube as the primary platform. It's also on Twitch from my old Twitch days. Not that anybody ever really chimes in from Twitch. But also, I am streaming this over to the Keystone AV Network's YouTube page. And so I promoted this show a little bit on LinkedIn yesterday just to say, hey, here's what we're going to be talking about. And that got a few reactions, which is nice. So if you're hanging out and you're here from LinkedIn from that post, let me know, because I don't know how effective those posts are, but always nice to have you along for the ride, especially if you're new. If you're new, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel for 5 minutes, and then you can talk in the chat. And if you talk in the YouTube, the John O'Canute YouTube page, I can actually, or in Twitch, I can bring that up inside of vMix, which is a fun little socials option. So whenever Angus puts something appropriate in the chat, I can show it on the screen. And for the record, Angus regularly puts appropriate things in the chat, so not to worry there. But yeah, so I can show them on the screen and we can talk about them. So if you have questions, or you want me to talk about something a little more specific, or you want me to stop talking about something, feel free to put that in the chat. And we'll go down that road when needed. So, hey, if you're over on YouTube, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, today, a couple of things I want to cover off before we get into the Dante. I'm not calling it like advanced, because I don't think I'm an advanced user of Dante. I just have found some interesting things that you might also find useful. So, as we learned together about Dante Controller, last week's show was just the basics, basically showing you the matrix grid and how to navigate that, and some useful information that is inside each of the device tabs. And we'll navigate that again today a little bit, but I'm going to go one more step when it comes to configuring things. And the premise of the show, before I forget to say this, the whole premise of the show is essentially you're going to love using Dante, and then you're going to expand your Dante sources, transmitters, receivers. I can almost guarantee it. It's just the way it goes. The same thing with NDI, same thing with ecosystems that you buy into. You're going to really enjoy using the product, and then you're going to want to buy more and add more and do more. And that is precisely what is happening at the soundstage where I work in Brentwood, Tennessee. So I had planned actually for this to happen, but I knew as soon as we enabled Dante and we started getting some Dante signals going around the network, I'm going to dream up hundreds of ways to use Dante in the future. And lo and behold, I have done just that, and I'm planning that, and we'll do that more this year. So stay tuned for more about that as that unfolds, but I'm pretty excited about where we are going. So as a general rule, you're going to really like using audio and video over IP because it's very flexible, but then it breaks down many of the barriers that we have with physical cables. Now, there are trade-offs to everything, so we take those in stride. But actually with Dante, I don't feel like the trade-offs are that significant other than the price. So, and price is subjective. Some people think it's cheap. Some people think it's expensive. It's just how your concept of money is. I have moved into realms where companies and people spend all sorts of money. Actually, my first eye-opener to that concept, I was working for a nonprofit school which never had any money, and I went to NAB 2019, and my friend, who I knew when we were in college, my friend met me on the floor to take me over to the Bird Dog booth to meet Eamon for the first time. We were walking over there, and his gentle nudging in this direction was, hey man, just look around. Like, people spend millions and millions of dollars just on this show, just to show their products. So money is a different thing for many companies and for many industries. And so you have to get out of the nonprofit. And it actually took me, you have to get out of the nonprofit mentality. He wasn't encouraging me to quit my job, but he said, you got to get out of that mentality because that's only a small subsection. Now, at Bird Dog, we helped customers of all different gambits, small schools, private institutions, churches, theaters, where money was not super fluid. And then we helped big broadcasts where they were like, we just need to know what the bottom line is so that we know how many zeros to put in the check. And I want this stuff done. That was their MO. So, there's a broad range between the small, I'm doing this all myself, which is kind of like where I am right now, right? I'm designing a studio and a recording space that we are lovingly referring to as the barn. We're designing the studio and I'm putting it all together myself. I'm paying for it all myself. And it's everything that I install, I have bought with my own money. Nobody has sponsored me yet. Nobody has sent me demo products, with the exception of John Hinkle from Netgear, who saw what I was doing and saw this show and sent me a kind of long-term loan 4250. And that is the primary switch, one of the primary switches in my NDI workflow here in my studio. So NDI video, there is some NDI audio happening, screen captures that are happening over NDI, and that's all coming over that 4250 to my main vMix machine. So, not nobody. John Hinkle from Netgear and the amazing team at Netgear, and I stand by that, and I'm certified like crazy with Netgear AV for that reason alone, because that company is the flagship, and I really believe in that product. So shout out to Netgear. So I don't have any other sponsors, though. Happy to have a sponsor if somebody wants to sponsor the show and let me try out their gear. And I say all that big preamble to the setup of the Dante conversation to steer us in kind of a side quest for a moment. The recording space that I'm building, and I'm a big visuals guy, so let's go ahead and bring that up. And hey, I like to type words. I usually type words that are acceptable for the general consumption. I can attest to this. Yes, you are PG or better. So well done. Oops, I'm late. What did I miss? Just the preamble. Not a whole lot, Randy. How are you doing? Great to see you. I've got all got non-US watchers today right now. If you're in the US, drop something in the chat, because I've got one guy from India and maybe his daughter that are watching in India, and then I've got two Canadians that are chatting. And I'm Canadian, so I'm not even from this country. But hey, all good, all are welcome. Thank you for jumping in. Yes, today's non-sponsor is Tim Hortons mugs with Starbucks coffee, mostly because it's really expensive to buy Tim Hortons right now because of the U.S.-American relationships. I think that's why. The tins of coffee went from $20 American to $50 American. And so it's much cheaper to buy this coffee than that coffee. But as soon as that comes down, I'll be purchasing more. There are two actual Tim Hortons stores in Nashville. There's one north of the airport, and there's one out in Mount Juliet. And a little far for me to drive. The airport's an hour away. Mount Juliet is like an hour and a half. So a little far to go and get coffee. 1 hour one way, by the way. But, unfortunately, I am planning on going to Ontario in May, and I don't think that I'll be able to export any coffee on that trip either. But when I go up in August for my camping trip, and if the prices are still ridiculous, you better believe that I will be purchasing some 2 or 3 pound tins of coffee. Hey, Jersey and Atlanta here too. I'm just in Atlanta today. Hey, welcome back, Stephen. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. There, we've got somebody stateside. Not that that's a requirement, but it is nice to have everybody back on board. So, okay. So the side quest that I'm taking you on today is I'm in the process of building my recording studio, as I've expressed, and inside both of the quiet room, the actual recording piece, and the studio, which is where I will run this show for the majority of the time, inside both of those spaces, there's going to be TVs up on the wall. There'll be 2 TVs above my desk, and then there'll be 1 TV inside the recording room. And on that television, I want to be able to stream an NDI camera to the other spot. So, a shot that's on the office where we're working, and a shot of the talent inside the recording studio, so we can see each other talking. And we'll probably have, Dante headsets or something that will communicate between the two. So all of that's kind of up in the air how that's going to work. More than likely, we will have a Dante signal that will feed a set of headphones inside of the recording space, and they'll be able to hear my talkback microphone, routing and all that. We're going to have to figure that out. But I'll have lots of Dante ports if I want to do them individually, or I'm going to probably end up getting some sort of Turtle AV device that will be my primary inputs for that room. So put them in a little network cabinet and make it nice and tidy. And then if somebody shows up with a guitar, they have a drum kit, or they do whatever, they can plug right into the Dante system, and I can record them directly on my machine. So as I develop that and decide on TVs and all that thing, one of the things that I'm planning on doing and looking at NAB is buying some like kind of wide angle, maybe like 100-degree cameras that can see that whole space, not be like right up in the talent's face or anything like that, but see that space so that when they talk, I can see them on my TV, and when I talk, they can see me on their TV. And it's just a way to do, like, because if you have a dead quiet room, right, and I'm spending a fair bit of money on trying to keep it quiet and keep it sealed up and all of that jazz, and then we're going to add tons of mass to the walls, tons and tons of drywall. So as I'm loading up on mass, I really don't want then, I want them to be able to hear my voice and see me without compromising on the sound, sound isolation quality that I'm going to have inside that room. So we're going to plan, and I've taken some pictures just to show you like how this is all going to kind of work out here. But we're planning on, how can I make this? Is there a way? No. All right. So here is this is the actual recording room, and this is some of the work I was doing yesterday. You'll notice I've run a fair bit of Ethernet, which will come down here and be mounted on this pole, and then I've got 15 amps that will be mounted here on this pole for, whatever we need, power, lights, yada, yada, yada. So this is a 15 amps that'll go here on the internal wall, and it goes through the external wall to run the holes. There will be insulation in both of these walls for deadening purposes. So the question is, no, actually, that's not really a question, but there will be basically fiberglass, R19 on the outside wall and R15 on the inside, and then over here we've got the boxes run. This is Ethernet again, so there are 2 Ethernet lines. One that will be up there for a camera, and probably one that will be up there for a decoder of some sort. I'm willing to think about Play Pro for this. I'm not opposed to potentially getting a Bird Dog Play Pro and trying it out. I would like to see it demoed. I'd like to see it in the wild, and I'm hoping NAB will be that moment for me where, yeah, this is the answer. And if it will decode HX3, then I can get any sort of box camera that I want. Now, I do really actually want just a box camera. I don't want a PTZ, and there's reasons for that, but mostly just ease of use. When I supply power to it, I want it to turn on and just take the loaded settings and go with it. I don't want to have to manipulate it. I'm not using it for production base. I really just want a point of view camera that's going to probably be mounted in the corner, or maybe above the television. So here underneath these boxes, on the double wall, underneath these boxes is going to be more wood that will then be where I mount that TV, and the TV will be in front of the boxes. And then I'm contemplating doing like a chair or a lamp or something where the talent can come in, have a comfortable chair to sit in, and then when it's time to do their thing, there'll be a mic stand in the middle, and probably have my little network box in the corner. Probably the corner over here, if you can see my mouse, probably the corner over here, because in this corner, or that corner, but in this corner, actually I take that back. I think that Turtle AV network cabinet and everything is going to be in this corner, because this corner will have the chair and the lamp and a few other things to kind of make it feel a little bit more like, comfortable space where I can sit down. And I'm thinking about my wife, who is the primary talent for this space, but also I have several friends who we will probably tap on their shoulder to come and record some stuff. So as that develops, I want to be able to see them. I want that camera not to be an ultra wide, but to be a wide lens so that I can see most of the room, and so that when I throw that up on my TV, I can see them. Now, whether I mount that above the television, which is where my image or the recording studio image would be, so they can look up there, but then I can also send that decoder any NDI signal, right? So let's say they want to see my screen capture from Audacity, or I guess I'm using what multi-track software is it called? I've forgotten. It's been a long time since I've used it, mostly because I'm trying to build this space before I do much else. Let's do this on a list. Ableton. So I have Ableton Live 12 intro, and that has been a very robust program for what it is that I like to do. And I will be getting a Dante card for my X32 core, which means that will give me 32 channels in and out. And then all of my sources inside of the little recording space will all be Dante, so I can route those directly to the core, and then the core can spit those outputs into the computer or whatever it is with the Dante virtual sound card. So pretty excited about that. I mean, I think the workflow makes sense, and part of the reason why I love the idea of doing everything Dante is that the workflow basically just turns digital, which is, again, something we're going to talk about here today. But it just turns digital, and all the routing just happens pretty easily. So I can't wait. I mean, I think it's going to be so cool. But if the talent wants to see then on their screen, that's on this television here, if they want to see the Ableton grid and watch it in real time, them recording something, I can turn the camera source off and swap out a screen capture or something like that, right? So that's one way to do that I think will be a pretty helpful way that TV is going to benefit. I'm also going to have I'm going to have two televisions in the studio portion. So I'll have one that will show me camera NDI sources, and one that's going to be a second monitor for my DaVinci Resolve system, because I want to be able to see whatever it is I'm editing in full screen. I'm so sick and tired of basically I have one monitor, and so I have to have the preview window and the timeline and all the little boxes everywhere. I don't want that. I want to put the image up on the screen. I want to have my waveforms. I want to have everything nice and big, and able to just be able to see everything, and then on a television, a color accurate television, it'll be nice to kind of see generally what it might look like anyways. So that's happening in the background, that whole conversation and thought process. But I think, again, with NDI, with Dante, you're able to send these sources wherever you'd like, and apparently. The Play Pro, according to CJ's video, has fast switching, meaning that if all of your sources are the same, NDI HX3 at this point, if they're all the same, you can turn on fast switching and it should be instantaneous, which means then we program that onto a Stream Deck buttons or something using the API, and then we just punch in, build a page and we punch in our sources, and then we can just fast switch between camera, screen capture, yada, 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 do all that really fast. So it's coming along. That whole, I'm ready to go there with that concept. Now, last week, also in regards to the barn build, we ran fiber. And so we now have a home run from my headroom, which is downstairs where the router comes in and everything. It's actually a closet, has a mounted switch. I showed you this a couple of weeks ago. So now this is the fiber run that comes out of the barn. That's my office door, will be my office door. Comes out of the barn, goes underground, is 18 inches underground, and then goes into the foundation of the house. And that runs directly then. It actually bends up, and it goes across the ceiling. I got way too much fiber. Way too much. So it goes across the ceiling, then it goes up into the cabinet, where I did a little alteration there where I created an access panel in the cabinet. I drilled a new hole, ran the fiber through the hole up into the back panel where all that technology is. Unfortunately, I did not take a picture of that little piece there, but I will show you this. Those are the ends of the fiber connections right there. So there are tons more Ethernet now in this box, but yeah, it's literally a home run with the Keystone jacks for the plate ready to go. So pretty happy that that is done. That part's done. Now I need to test the fiber. Hopefully it's not damaged in any way, but I need to test it, make sure that we're all good. It was a pain to pull, but I do need to take a SFP mod out there and a switch and power it up and make sure that we are actually getting transmit and receive on both channels. This is kind of part of that project underway when we were actually pulling the fiber. You can see my little pull string there that goes down underneath into the house. And one final thing about yesterday's work that I did. So I told you, well, there's a lot more Ethernet cables now. Well, this is what I mean. So this is all of that Ethernet that runs into the recording studio now comes to, so the recording studio box is this guy right here, and it includes the fiber. It will also include a couple of HDMI Keystone jacks that will run the televisions. This box is going to be very full, very full. So I'm going to have to be careful about how I do this, and I'm going to probably have to cut back the Ethernet a fair bit so that everything will fit. But both of these boxes have, I think, 10 different connections in them, which means that they have to be a double 6, and that gets crowded real fast. So thankfully I can pull some of the extra, back out of the box once things are done. But yeah, that part's done. This box is all the other Ethernet jacks in the building. So there are security cameras, there are Wi-Fi access points, there are wall jacks that will be probably Ethernet and Dante around the room. That's all in that left box. And then the recording studio, all the runs for the recording studio, which is 3 in one corner, 3 in the opposite, so 6, and then 2 behind the television is 2 behind the yeah. So there are 8 in there, and then there's 2 more somewhere, I think. Oh, it's these the fiber optic cables. So yeah, they're going to be very full, but it'll be fun. So more on that as it develops. I've got all of the Keystone jacks that I'm going to need ready to punch that stuff down. I did actually punch down. There is a box outside that will run. Oh, this is kind of hard to see where it is, though. For context, where is that picture? I don't have a photo of it. So there is a box that's mounted way up high under a soffit, and there's an Ethernet jack in there. That's going to be for an outdoor access point that has yet to be purchased, but because there's no network out there technically. But yeah, that access point will service the backyard and the forest for Wi-Fi, and probably cover the garage, but I'm going to put an access point in the garage anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, there's one that's mounted. I did punch that one down yesterday. It was chilly yesterday, but even colder the day before. So yeah, that's how that is playing out. Hey, that's a pretty tight looking bend radius. Which one? There is. It's actually more. I'm assuming you're talking about this photo. So yeah, these holes are not very big, and most of the wires go through that like all of the wires go into this set of holes that are on the technically the external wall of the recording studio, but then they break off and they go to their separate destinations, so it gets lighter and lighter as it goes. But yeah, and I've zipped this all together just to keep it all nice and tight. But you have to also remember, like, this part of the wall will not be, like, it'll be covered up with insulation, so it won't be very tight when it's kind of all going together. So it'll be fine. There's a lot of Ethernet, which doesn't surprise me at all, because that is the nature in which I operate. But what can you say? So the barn's coming along. I've made some big strides. There's quite literally only a handful of things left before we need to put in insulation and drywall, which I'm really excited about, because when you get to that phase, then you're kind of seeing the end in sight. HVAC is a big one. Plumbing is a big one. But other than that, we're getting there. So the electrical got run yesterday too. I've added a ton more breakers, which are all off right now because there's no plugs. But this is something else. But these 15s and this 20 are all office related, and yeah, there's no outlets on them, so I don't want to turn them on yet. But they are all done inside the electrical panel, which is great because I like having us basically good to go. Angus said no. Ethernet looks fine. It's the fiber that's coiled in the box. Oh, so this bend radius is what you're talking about. Hang on. Which one? Oh, this one? When they were just tucked in there? Yeah, it is a short little run, that one. But, I mean, it's... Or do you mean the outdoor ones? The actual piping for this guy. This is the one you're talking about. Fiber coiled up in the box. Oh, I see. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's not that tight. I just loosely I didn't bend it very much. I just kind of loosely placed it in there. So it's not that tight where I'm concerned about it at all. If it can't handle this, then it didn't handle the install process, which aren't tight bends, but it's an armored cable. The rest of it is an armored cable. So again, I'll plug it in here. I'll try and do this, and in this weekend sometime. I do have a little bit of time, so I will take an old switch out there that I have, one that I removed previous show, and these are just SFP mods, so I can set them as 1 gigs on the other side, fire them up, and see if it works. So, and make sure it works. It's gonna work. I really don't want to have to rerun that fiber line, but because that was a lot of work, but all good. So let me put these up here. The fiber coiled up in the box, back a couple. Ethernet looks fine. Oh, thank you. Hey, Jono, installing lots of Ethernet? Never. Yeah. Yeah. Who would have guessed? Yeah, who would have guessed? So the great thing about that fiber line that's here, by the way, is it can actually go back in that sleeve a bit. And so when it gets installed and put in the patch panel, then It doesn't have to be wound up inside the box at all. It can actually go back, feed back a bit. And that's because I have service loops that go back into the house, and then there's a whole bunch of extra cable elsewhere. So much of it is still on the spool. I only bought like 150 feet, but apparently I didn't need that much. I needed like 100. So whoops-a-daisy. Didn't mean to overdo it, but that doesn't really surprise anybody at all. Okay. Let's get into Dante Controller, because I know that's why you guys are all here. And we just want to talk about a couple of the extra things that I think are very useful. And then, as always, please jump in and add to the conversation, because part of the reason why this show works so well is that you guys contribute to the show. So Dante Controller, last week we talked about how how it's very simple to make connections just right off the bat. You basically you install Dante Controller, turn it on, select your network port that's using your Dante. So you need to have probably, a dual network card inside your computer, and one of them needs to be on your isolated Dante network, and one of them needs to be on the rest of your network. That's how I operate here, although I use SFP cards for that, because look at me, of course I'm going to use SFP cards for that. But I'm wired in via fiber, and then I've designated one port on the 4250, one SFP port on the 4250 to be my NDI port. And so I'm wired up into my vMix machine, which is this guy, and then I'm able to see NDI Dante over that line. Now, I, here in the studio, use the NDI 5 profile for both Dante and NDI, because I'm not really doing anything Dante in here yet, and I'm not really doing much by way of NDI either. This is an NDI signal, and like I said, there's audio that comes over, so the music that plays at the beginning and ending of the show, that music is done over NDI, but outside of that, nothing else really. So very lightweight network. The 4250 is probably laughing at me at how easy it is to manage my network. But back over in Brentwood, Tennessee, where I have a day job, we're using more and more Dante all the time, and we're dreaming up ways to actually make it work. And so it's been fun to really figure it out, to have a real world functional place. And for those of you who are just joining me for this show or have never been here before, we use Dante for our intercoms. And this is a concept that has come by a guy named Doug Johnson, who runs Doug Johnson Productions. He is an events guy, and he created an intercom system using an X32, and then quickly outgrew it, and then built a intercom system over a radius device using Composer, radius device, to then send signals to and from headsets and to camera ops and all of that. So that really got my brain going in a way that, look, we can make this a lot simpler. We can send this, if I run one Ethernet cable, we could send this intercom system anywhere we want, instead of trying to do a ClearCom system or trying to do other solutions like an X32 with XLR intercoms and everything. Just gets a little much, right? So in this instance, we run our intercoms over, and I have 8 positions now. That quickly went from 4 positions to 8 positions using this Dante stuff. And the expansion of that is very little. Like, the overhead on it is very little, not only in the implementation phase of things, actually getting it to work, but the data requirements as well. That's practically minimum compared to the amount of legwork that might be needed to get a ClearCom system or a traditional intercom system up and running. Now, we came from a Wi-Fi intercom system made by Saramonic, and that was good to start. A great entry-level intercom. If you need something just for your team, you're all in the same room, you're just, maybe you're doing an event, you have $1,000 to spend on intercoms, sure, go with a Wi-Fi intercom system. The downfall is it runs on 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and when the system breaks, there's really not a whole lot they can do to fix it, whether that's their fault or not. your investment is basically kind of done whenever the device is done. I don't know anymore. It's been a year or so since I've gone down the support trail for Saramonic, but it wasn't. The product was not viewed like a long-term intercom use system. If you're serious about intercoms, you're going to buy something that's higher scale, or you're going to design something. And that is really the two methods when it comes to designing something like that. Is you can buy a box that does all the things. Clearcom sells packages, or you can build it yourself, and you can pick and choose the devices that you want and then make them work together. The advantage is that usually to expand a all-in-one package deal means that you have to buy another package that works with the first package. Whereas if you build it with expansion in mind, you have the potential, not necessarily for sure, but you definitely have the potential to expand it as you need it without necessarily needing to buy an entirely new or another system just to make it all work. And here's a great example of that. Saramonic sells a headset that has like the hub unit inside. It's called the master headset. And then that headset connects to all the other headsets, and you can all talk together. If that headset goes offline or the battery dies, everybody's headsets die. And so the solution there is to buy a hub, and that hub transmits a signal and connects to all the headsets, and then you can use the hub, and you can hardwire the hub in. It doesn't have to have a battery. Disadvantage with that is you can't use the master headset because the master is a hub, and you bought a secondary hub, which means you lose a headset. Now, all the other headsets that are not masters are connecting to the hub now, and so everybody's on a secondary headset and nobody's actually running a master headset. But the master headset can't be used. So we bought a Wi-Fi system with a master headset. Then we bought a hub with 3 extra headsets, and then had to buy an additional one because we didn't realize that our master headset would be useless, essentially. So the idea of us needing more headsets, okay, so with the master you can have up to like 7, and with the hub you can have up to 11. It was a very strange, I think it's 11. And these are Gen 1 products. They've come out with new ones since. Well, we were having issues with batteries staying charged, and with the charger, we bought the actual like 10-seat charger, and when you would put the batteries in it, it would whistle. It would make like a high-pitched squeal. Thankfully, we didn't ever need to charge batteries during the service, but it would definitely make strange noises, and we thought that was very odd. So, you've heard me tell this story before. We went to NAB, went to the Saramonic booth and said, hey, we have these Gen 1s. We bought them 8 months ago. Here are the things that they're doing. What is going on? And they said, oh, those are Gen 1 problems. You need Gen 2. I said, yeah. Okay, but let's get the ones that I just bought this year, this last 12 months. Let's get those ones working, and then I'm happy to talk about Gen 2 ones. And they said, oh, yeah, here's a magazine with all of our new ones. Here's a bag with our name on it, and here's a thing. And I said, okay. I took the things, and I put them in my backpack, and I said, okay, tell me how to fix the ones that I have. And they said, well, that's a problem that, the battery's not very good with those ones, and, the hub, it only could do 11. These new ones, they don't need that. And if you really want, you can connect a wire between headsets so that they're tethered together, and 2 people can stand next to each other and use them. And I was like, I don't think you understand what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about, I want my headsets to work, the ones that I just bought, like not long ago, a few months ago. We use them 4 times a month, and they're already aging out. Well, they didn't really have an answer. They definitely encouraged us to look at the Gen 2s. They took them off the wall. They tried to put them on my head, and I was like, whoa. I don't want to buy new ones. And so I got a little cheeky and said, so if I send this one to you, will you send me one of those as a replacement? Because you're saying this one's so much better. And they're like, oh no, you'd have to buy them new. It's like, well, there you go. So then we went over to Clearcom, and we got a little sticker shocked with Clearcom. And then we went over to a few other places, and then I found Doug Johnson's video about Dante Controller, about using Dante. So that's where this all came from. And you can buy Dante products made by multiple manufacturers, but they all have to adhere to the Dante standard, which is really nice because it means that you have some unification tactics here. So here we go. Let's talk about a couple of these extra little features that I really like. First and foremost is, last week we talked about the grid, and the grid looks like this, right? And this doesn't look really too bad because, you have a half a dozen things here, maybe a dozen items. Receivers are on the left and the transmitters are up at the top. The problem becomes when we start navigating through this and we expand all of these. Looks pretty good, but then this little scroll bar becomes, it kind of becomes a lot. Mostly because the Radius has 64 channels input and 64 channels output, meaning that it can receive up to 64 Dante channels and it can transmit up to 64 channels. So, okay, it's still a little bit manageable. I can use the little scroll bar and I can get to the end, not too bad. If I were to go to the soundstage and I was to turn on the soundboard, now we have an X32, which also has a Dante card, and it has 32 transmit and 32 receive. So now I'm going to have even a longer list. And so navigating between all right, I got a Dante out, I want it to transmit, and I need it to go to belt pack, and I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and it's doesn't really... It's not as intuitive as when I just had a few items, right? When I just had the Radius, if I didn't have the Radius on here, I just had the belt packs. This is sustainable. This is readable, and I can work it with it here. But once you start getting devices that can do multiple ins and outs or whatever, it gets a little bit too much. It gets hard to navigate. And so the grid doesn't become necessarily very user-friendly. Well, the first feature that people always look by, because we look past it on Windows and we look past it a lot of the times on our Mac, is the filter options. If you want to just find all of your belt packs and you have them named, I just type in belt in transmitters, and here are all of my belt pack transmitters. And then I know that I need my Radius to go to... I need the talking channels to go to my Radius inputs. And so I can just type in Radius or Rad, and I can type in belt, and there is a simple way to see all of my Radius receivers and my belt pack transmitters. It cleans it up quite nicely. But I can even go one step further, and if I know that I've labeled my channels correctly inside of the Radius or here inside of Dante Controller, I can type in something like talk, and that will not only eliminate all of the channels that are not labeled talk, but it will only show me the channels on the Radius that are labeled talk. And so I know then that my director talk channel needs to go to channel 1, which is conveniently labeled direct talk because that's what I labeled it, and I can then easily match the grid here. So once you get lots and lots and lots of channels, the router becomes a little bit tricky to use, but we can use the power of our little filter here to say, okay, I just want to link the belt pack talk channels with the Radius talk channels. And again, you label them here inside of Dante Controller, right? So I can change the name that I want inside Dante Controller, and I actually, my preference is to leave the channel number. So the Radius receive channel 1, I can remove that if I want, but I actually prefer to leave channel 1 and then label it something. And then I can just, when I exit out, that is then the label that gets put here inside of the router, which is very convenient then if I want to search. Same thing with microphones, or same thing with, whatever. If we want to just see headset or headphone channels, I can type in receiver headphones, and then over here I can type in party line, because that's something that goes to all of our headphones. So party line mono is the channel that I use because I don't really have any need to use stereo. So party line mono, and I can just then link them up here as I need to. So the search bar is something that I think it sits prominently inside of router, but I don't think that it actually gets utilized very well. But it's a very fast way to jump around and get things linked up if you have 100 sources or less. Okay, it's a good way to do that. Actually, endlessly, it's probably fine. But there's still probably one better way to do this, and this is the piece that I think actually really gets overlooked a lot, is if I have, let's go down to my radius here, and the best way to select a device, right? I want to link a bunch of talking microphones to the belt pack microphones. I want to link them to my radius, the talking channels in my radius. Well, you may have peeped at this before, but you can take your belt packs, which we can use the filter here and just write in belt or whatever you label them, and expand these channels as you need them. And now these sources can actually just be dragged onto the channel that you want to use. And so belt pack director, I just drag it onto the connect to option. See the little hourglass here, and then it changes to green. That means that channel has been linked up. Executive desk, down here to executive desk. Moderation desk to moderation desk. Producer needs to go to prod talk. Pro presenter 1 needs to go to the microphone, needs to go to Pro 1 talk and Pro 2 talk. And all of my belt packs are now linked up correctly. And when I go to the grid, right, I can expand the receivers, and they have all now been updated on the routing. So now my routing page becomes more of a status. Maybe there's one that I need to fix on here. But when I'm configuring larger devices, especially these things that have 64 or 32 channels, I can actually open the device. I just double click on the receiver portion of it, and then I drag the transmitters to the channels that I want on that unit. And so it's a lot faster, and it actually, in my brain, makes a whole lot more sense as to why you would map them out this way, because now it's like, okay, the channel, this is channel 1 on the radius, and that's my director microphone. So I can just open director microphone and drag that on there, boom, and then it's linked up. Works really well. Then if you have audio happening on those channels, you will actually get a signal indicator saying, yes, there is audio coming through that channel. So you'll know that you've linked it correct, and that audio is being received on that Dante channel. So that's a pretty convenient way to do that. Okay, I need to reference my notes here, because those are the two big ones that I think get quickly overlooked, and we don't talk about them enough. Using those search bars, not search bars necessarily, but they're like a reducer. They're able to filter, that's the right word. You can filter down your sources, especially if you have a lot. The trick is to make it highly effective. The trick is to label everything correctly. Is to, when you add a device, label it. Label the transmitter, label the receiver. Then you know what is what when you go into, okay, I've got my DSP, which is my radius 12x8, and I want to link the talking microphones through the radius so that I get it into the main system, then I can route it wherever I want. This is where it's super important that things are labeled correctly, and you do that inside the device view. So when I link a new product, I can double click on it. It opens the receive channels, and then I can label each of the receive channels as I need. You can then open the transmit channels, and you can also label the transmit channels as you need. So as you add devices, do yourself a massive favor and label those channels inside of Controller. It will save you a ton of time, and label them things that you're going to know this is what it is when I go to search for it. So when then I go to let's see here, I go to transmitters and I say party line, PL, radius shows up and says, well, I have channels that have PL in the title. And if I expand it, oh, look, party line left, party line right, party line mono, party line Vox, party line back to soundboard. All of these channels are things that are coming out of the radius so that I can then route them to headphones. That's how that works. So that's a really simple way to speed up large Dante installations. And again, when you fire up a device and you get all your channels mapped, go into Controller and be sure that you label everything correctly. And then that will save you a lot of time when you need to change things around. We talked about the update feature last week, which I really think is an important thing that you know, that there is generally a centralized place for you to update things, and that is here with this little tab up top. Let me pull up my notes here that I had made. I actually made notes for this show, believe it or not. Here they are. So let me just make sure I covered everything here. All right, we wanted to talk about the search option. We want to talk about device view, which we just went over. And yeah, I think that's everything. The other one that my coffee has gone cold because I didn't stop talking this whole time. Not great. Whew. Okay. The other thing that I want to reiterate here, and I don't know actually if this would help me in the long run, there is a way to save presets inside of Dante Controller, which is this button right here or this button right here. And once everything's up and running at your show, this will save you a lot of time, by the way. Once everything's up and running at your show and you've got it how you want it, you can save a preset. And then when you show up at your next gig, you can load the preset and make sure all of your channels have been patched correctly. So you only really ever have to do it once. Then you can save a preset and load the preset when it's done. I need to test this theory because when I restart Radius, it drops all of the director microphones. And maybe this is something we can try right now, although I might be screwing things up for Sunday. So we want to go online, checking hardware, pushing design to Radius. This is going to break my channels, or it should. I'm going to expand here. So my talking microphones on the Radius are now busted. So something that I need to do here, see how it erased the names as well? What it seems to be doing on the Radius is it failed to go online. Get out of here. What it seems to be doing is like wiping all of my settings that I have inside Controller when it does that, right? Okay, reports online. This always takes a hot second. Let me show you this. So this is Composer. This is how the Radius processes the data, and it has all sorts of things on here, from a gating auto mixer to a matrix mixer to a ducker to a whole bunch of things. We've talked about that in the past. Programming local network interface failed. Question. Why did you fail? I wonder. Are we on that network? We should be. Let's make sure that our Dante port is working. They're both here. Let's try one more time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You never know. I'm not too sure what I changed. But anyways, this is the problem I have with the Radius in particular, is that it wipes all of these settings, and you'll notice that all my talking microphones have disappeared. It's no big deal. I can link them up pretty fast here in the router, but I also don't want to every time. Every time I do an update, it should retain that information. Radius has failed to go online and reports this error code. Programming local network audio interface has failed. All right, so let's go ahead and close Composer. Radius is on, so it's not like it's not running, but it definitely did not push So on-site design, Dante reports online. Here is the channel. And director audio. Okay, so that's all functioning. So now we're going to go online with this file. I wonder if I have to go into the settings of this thing and tell it where the network card is. Like, I think maybe the IP address may have changed or something, and so it's doesn't like it. It should just go from 88 to 100, but it keeps failing out. So this is purely a radius thing. I honestly, oh, we're online. Perfect. So now we can unmute our channels. Okay, so I just had to restart because probably the IP address changed on the computer, which I could set as the DHCP reserve if I wanted to, so that never changes, which would probably be wise. But okay, so here we are live. All of our inputs are now up and running. The question I have, right, is over here at the end. See how these channels all have names? These names should be broadcasted to these sources right here. So if I reload all the information and I pull up the radius, none of the names stayed. So the question becomes, if I make all the names and save a preset, does it then save when I load the preset? So let's go ahead and do that. This is a good it's a good method to show you how this works. So first is going to be 01 director talk, and we can just do the example that we just did here. Connect director talk. 02 is prod talk. That's the producer. So can I drag this over here? I can. Okay, cool. So I don't even have to open this. All right. Number 3 is Pro 1 talk. And number 4 is Pro 2 talk. Number 5 is exec desk talk. And number 6 is moderation, mod talk. All right, so now we can do Pro 1, Pro 2, exec desk, and moderation. Okay, so we have 6 belt packs. And 6 hasn't updated just yet. Okay, there it is, mod talk. And then this is party line, right? Or program. Program, I believe. I have to think about that. Channel 7, right? All right, so here that is yeah. So channel 7, Dante 3, Dante 4, Dante 5. Program, party line. Party line. Inputs. 7. Oh. Whoops. Get out of here. I was thinking Windows. Okay. So I'm not sure if this is supposed to be program or not. Something makes me think it's not, but anyway, we'll sort that out in a minute. So the here are my radius guys, and the question is we should have on these belt packs, we should have everybody on mono, with the exception of, oh, there they are, with the exception of Executive Desk, who uses the X32, and then these two guys, they use X32 as well. So if I could get somebody to turn on the X32 at the soundstage, those channels would then connect. All right, so we're in good shape there, and these are now labeled. So let's go and save a preset. We're going to save, and we're going to put this in Dropbox. Dante Controller file. Save. Yes. All right, now, inside Composer, if I change this and I push this configuration again, go online, it should dump these sources one more time, because Composer is like that. There they go. So now they're gone, which is really, Composer, seriously, somebody fix that. All right, so waiting for this to finish. It's basically setting up the chain. Oh, look, interface failed. Oh, lots more errors this time. System is muted. Okay, let's close. Let's do what we did before. Open Composer. And we're going to open Offsite Design. And cancel. Oh, look. It has an IP address in there. That's interesting. All right, and then we're going to go online. So there's a question in the chat that talks about the hang on here, let me pull it up for you guys. There's a question in the chat that basically says, so what about, oh, it's over here. Can you route video over Dante the same way? I assume it would get even more unwieldy. So yes, as I understand it, the routing is the exact same way. The issue with Dante AVA is that you need Dante-specific devices to do it. And the complaint that I've heard in the past is that it's very specific to, like, it's like there's no software really, right? It's all just hardware. And so if you're going to do AVA, you have to go all in on it. That needs to be your ecosystem, which maybe the video element is in its infancy and they're just waiting for adoption. But it is true that you definitely need to have an ecosystem that can handle it, and there's not a whole lot of, oh, that's funny, that's why. There's not a whole lot of people that are doing Dante AVA right now. So it's kind of like one-to-one, like if you buy a whole bunch of Turtle AV stuff or whatever, then it would be relevant. But in this instance, it's a little bit tricky to, I have found that there is, by the way, a change in IP address. So we're going to try this again. Oh, shoot. This is for the radius, not for the computer. Okay, the radius is good. Why is there a yellow? So here is the status report. It's muted. It's just muted. That's why. System unmute system. Are you sure all hardware reference? The hardware is currently offline. So see, this is kind of a confusing thing for me, is because when it doesn't seem to matter one way or the other with radius. It fails some and then it works some. And this is an older product. It's not their flagship anymore, but it should definitely turn on and should give me more data if it does fail than just audio. Now, look, it's on. So what was the difference there? I just click the same buttons. All right, so we unmute all outputs. It ramps them up, which is nice. So if you're listening to the headset, the music or the program comes up if you're in that situation. Okay, but here we are now, again, without the radius labels. So if I say Dante configuration file open, and really I want names. Yeah, I want, let's say none, and let's just say preset element names. Okay. Preset complete. Fail. Let's do that one more time. Let's see if we are missing something. Open. None. Channel names. Receiver channel names. That's what I want. Boink. Oh, yeah. So there it is. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so the channel names are all back. Now, let's do this one more time. Say none. And let's say transmit flows, receive, channel names, channel subscriptions, channel labels. Okay. Deleting them all. Setting them all. Oh, baby. Heck yes. That's amazing. Oh, that's awesome. Now, why, though, are we timed out on this guy? Okay, that just needed a little refresh. But that's so cool. So, yes, this headphone, these are expected failures, because that channel's not online, but everything else is back. So now that's the process, and the process isn't to load the preset and just hit all, okay? Unselect all, and then just pick the ones that you really need to be relinked, because the clock will set up on its own, the clock priority will set up on its own, the latency will set up all on its own for the most part. So interface IP addresses, yeah, all of this. So really, it's these 5 boxes that you want to click. The only time, I guess, that you would want to reload everything is if you have a new Dante controller, right? Brand new, doesn't know anything, doesn't know any labels, and then you can reload everything. But in this instance, you can reload it all, and you can reload the things that you want. You can pick and choose, and then it does actually make the connections again. So that's stinking awesome. Yeah, that was great. I believe that my earlier comment is relevant yet again. You have made a lot of comments, so let's scroll back. And I like to type words that are appropriate for general consumption. Congrats, you're audible. Oh, the happy fun time troubleshooting hour. That's what you meant. Yes. This was one of those questions that I was like, all right, I got to be able to figure this out quickly and be able to reload it as I need, right? So channel 7 is our program, but channel 7 is connected to... Is channel 7 our program? Man, it's so frustrating that I can't remember that. Channels, these are the channels here. And these channels should really be labeled, and they are not. So, oh yeah, there it is. Channel 7 Dante program. So they are labeled. Why aren't they showing up here? They should show up on the screen. But anyways, here are all our Dante channels, and then Dante program is on 7. So that's perfect. That's good. That's what I want to see. How many headsets do I have then? Because I feel like this configuration might be old. Potentially, maybe not. Because I've got, back to controller, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so, and 6 are showing up inside top to bottom. So here in Composer. So yeah, that makes total sense then, that Dante's director, producer, ProPresenter 1, ProPresenter 2, exec desk, moderation. And then program is on 7. Which then means I need to link 7 on Sunday. But what then that means is, you notice how my analog cameras, which is cams 1 and 2, these are Blackmagic cameras, have been hardlined into the analog ports on the back of the Radius. So they come out of the little studio converter that I plug my cameras into, so single plug Ethernet cable, and that signal comes back via Ethernet, and then we hotwire it into the analog ports on the back of here, and then my headsets that are plugged into the cameras can be heard. And all I do is program a function button on the back of our studio cameras to turn his microphone on or off, and they can double tap and leave it on, and then double tap and turn it off, or they can just press to talk and then release to mute. It works really well. There is no there's no delay. There's no like degradation of signal. It works really well. So I do like having the integration, and there are manuals on the Blackmagic support site that show you how to create the crossover cable to do just that into a system like this. And it took a little troubleshooting, but we got it sorted out. And then you plug that Ethernet jack into the back of the studio under the talkback port. So I've got room for 2 more on this analog board. And actually I've got room for, there's a B section as well. So there you can see down here analog mics. So you can have, I've got left camera 1 on channel 1, camera 2 on channel 2, but I could go 3, 4, then down here 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So lots of room for expansion. Again, if it doesn't natively speak Dante, if it's a Blackmagic camera, it has a talkback port, you can hotwire it to do it. So big fan of that, that's for sure. Because it basically unifies our whole system, and it's been way better, way clearer, way more diverse, way more expandable than any Wi-Fi headset system could be. We're basically just a huge step away from all of that. Now, what does that mean about Dante stuff? Well, you not only can Composer accept those audio channels in the Radius, not only can I send any audio any audio transmitter to a input to feed it then through the Radius and the intercom system, but I can also now that Dante's on the wire and the protocol is being used, now I can put the that's interesting. I'll show you this thing in a second. Now you can, oh my goodness, I can't stay. I just want to jump in and say hello. I randomly caught you mentioning me a while ago. Thanks. Do you see what I see? Is the legend? Doug, this is all you, man. This is your system. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that you're on my show. Look, it's your brainchild. Look, it's your brainchild. Radius 12x8 Dante intercoms. I'm doing it. And it's all thanks to your video, your inspiration, my friend. Well done. I cannot thank you enough getting us away from potentially buying an expensive ClearCom system and also getting rid of the crappy intercom system that we had. This thing has been awesome. And so thank you so much for stopping by, first of all. Jeez, that's very, very kind. But yes, I'm definitely using your design, some tweaks that for my own personal use, but it got me into using Dante fairly regularly, and now we're using it for many projects coming up. So pretty exciting there. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. That's really cool. Hey, all, I recognize Composer right away. Yeah, for sure you would. You are well known on this show because I talk about that stream quite often that you did, or the video that you made, because then I built this thing shortly thereafter. So it is definitely the only way. Oh, and you agree, Dante based intercoms is amazing. I can't use anything else. Seriously, endlessly expandable, endlessly expandable, because you get it into Composer, but then the the intercoms, there are lots of people that just need to hear what's going on. Well, you can send them those Dante signals, especially if you're running multicast. You can send them that stuff very easily, and there's very little overhead. You can also, there's a way to route the Dante channels, only specific Dante channels, to a secondary network. And so you can isolate and just say, well, you can listen into the comms, but you're not going to get the rest of the Dante signals from the event. And that's an easy way. This is a great advantage, is saying if you have a control room that needs to hear your camera ops or needs to hear your whoever's on intercoms. Oh man, it has been it's been awesome. So much appreciated, man. Thanks for stopping by. Wow, that's really cool. It's cool that you're here. I'm hoping one day to run into you. My next event is NAB. Maybe you'll be there. Maybe I'll be on the lookout. But yes, big kudos, big thank you for your video on this, because I took that idea and ran with it. That's all I can offer you in terms of honorarium for that idea. Have you, if you're still here, have you noticed that when you go online with Composer, it wipes your Dante channels on the receiver inside of Controller? Have you noticed that? I rarely do it, and we've just started saving presets and pushing names and connections and stuff. So it's not really a big deal, because I'll just save it and it's just one of those things. But whenever I go live on Composer, it seems to wipe the Dante transmissions. So the Dante out, it clears all those channels inside Controller, and then I got to remap them. And again, you're just using presets. But I'm just curious your experience on that and if you found a way around it. Hey, I'm planning on being at NAB on Monday and Tuesday. All right. Well, I will keep my eyes open for you. I will be there until Wednesday afternoon. So let's be on the lookout. I'll be on the lookout for you. I'm sure you have lots to do. But I'll be looking for you. It's a huge place. So who knows? Really cool. So Doug says, yes, you can stop that. You can turn on, sorry, let me get this in the chat. Come on, socials. Yes, you can stop that. You can turn on the top left checkbox on the screen that comes up when you push the design. Oh my gosh, are you serious right now? So this, it says go, oh no, crap, I just pushed it. You can turn off the top left checkbox on the screen that comes up when you push the design. Top left checkbox. Do I have to push it from the menu? When I push it, it just goes. It doesn't actually stop. Top left checkbox. Because here's a great example. It's pushing it, and see, it's cleared all my channels. And so all I'm doing now is loading preset, Dante configuration, clear all, and then I just do these 5 and then say okay, and then it starts to subscribe the channel. If I go back to Composer, okay, it worked, so I'm online. Checkbox. Go online, push the device. I'll be on the lookout for it, because that has been, you must have turned that screen off. So you can do so in the app preferences. Okay, cool. This is part of what this show is for me, is me figuring out my stuff. Hardware. Recall site hardware, system manager. Tools. I will definitely look for the preferences option. Site preferences, maybe here. Enable delay. Skip push confirmation. That's probably what I did, eh? Okay, so if I do that and then push, hey-oh. All right, so now you can turn off, Doug said, yeah, you can turn off the top left checkbox on that screen that comes up when you push the design. So this one, top left. Let's find out. Oh man, there's gonna be a happy day if site was successfully pushed to hardware. Ramp up. Oh my gosh. It's all stayed. Unbelievable. All I needed was the celebrity from Doug Johnson Productions to show up and teach me how to use my stuff. Much appreciated. Oh, you just took a massive headache off of my plate. You have no idea, and I couldn't figure out what the deal was as to why it kept wiping that every single time. But now it makes total sense, and all of these connections are still here. So, heck yes, man. That's awesome. Love it. Man, what a day. Yeah, so there you go. There are some fun little, there's some fun insight behind the Dante Controller, I'm sorry, the composer intercoms, and the originator of this concept showed up in the chat. So that's pretty awesome. You didn't know you were going to get that for the same price of admission. You get the expert. The other option is to include your other Dante devices in your design, and then it will map those Dante routes. Your option is to include your other Dante devices in your design. So, meaning listing them inside Composer. So, so like adding a node. Curious. Mixer gain auto. I wish there was like a sources, right? Library settings. Okay. Yes, adding them in Composer. Excellent. Okay. Well, maybe. So if you add them, do they show up then as sources out of radius? Or, because you said the other option is to include your other Dante devices in your design, and then it will auto map those Dante routes. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. So map the transmitters to the matrix, and then it will. I see. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That would like if you have a huge Dante network, wouldn't that make it very messy in terms of like mapping? Like I don't particularly care. I understand why, and the Radius device, for those of you who don't know, has a home, usually in like conference rooms and that sort of thing, where it's on, it runs, and guys just integrate it and they never touch it. Whereas like I'm constantly adding and changing things, so it's not really what it's for. It's not really like how it's generally used. But yeah, if you were, instead of mapping, I see what you mean, Doug, instead of mapping in controller your transmitter to a Radius input and then sending that, you would bring the belt pack itself, transmitter, into Composer and then map that to the correct channel, and then it would know what it is. Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay. Interesting indeed. Okay. I mean, I like it. It is one way to do it, I guess. I think, though, because my Dante network is, well, honestly, this is just so much cleaner. And it's one place so if I'm having issues with somebody, it's one of the first places I go. I look and I'm like, am I even getting signal from them? So it's kind of nice to have them mapped. But with the knowledge that you just dropped on this thing, turn this off. Oh, and it stays off. So I don't have to necessarily remember to do that next time. So uncheck this box. When you hit OK, it pushes it. Then it doesn't wipe all of those settings. But then here, because I'm planning on having additional sources, which I already do technically, but because I'm planning on I have an X32 that has a Dante card and so on, then it may still make it makes it a lot tidier to have the Dante device linked to a channel which is labeled, and then it's a little easy peasy that way. And then you just save your preset and recall it when it's time to. Well, and I shouldn't have to, quite frankly. Now I have like 3 methods to troubleshoot, but I shouldn't have to. actually do that anymore because it won't break it like it was because of the way that we're pushing it live. So that's super helpful. Awesome. Well, that's good stuff. Well, I know you can't stay, so off you go. But thank you so much for stopping by, man. I feel so honored that you jumped in and dropped some knowledge on us. That was great. I'm off to a meeting. Thanks for the mention. Best of luck. Same. Maybe we'll see you at NAB. Take care of yourself, Doug. Always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on by. Well, that's pretty cool. Oh, he also wrote, the only thing you lose by turning off that checkbox in composer naming is composer naming your Dante inputs and outputs. So, oh, I see what you mean. It wasn't doing that anyways. It wasn't pushing the names to controller. They were blank as well. So I wonder, maybe I wasn't doing it right anyways. But I could be wrong. But that's so stinking cool that, see, because these are the names over here. Party line. Oh, I see what you mean. Maybe it cleared those. I did reload them, so maybe it saved the configuration and then put them in here for me. Very cool, very cool. Okay, so to recap. What the show was actually about, which is hilarious. We were talking about Dante Controller, and we were talking about using it a little more intuitively when you get a lot of sources on your Dante network. Because, like I said at the beginning, you're gonna enable Dante for like one thing that you need, right? And then you're gonna love it. You're gonna design an intercom system with the help of Doug Johnson, or you're going to start doing multi-track recording into a virtual sound card onto a computer, or you're going to start doing something with Dante, and then you're going to realize, oh man, with the power of an Ethernet cable or a fiber cable, I can just send all these signals over there, or I can send them over to somebody else's network, or I can, you can, the options become more and more broad. And a great example is the construction of my recording studio that's happening next door to my house. Is like all the signals inside the quiet room come over a Dante channel, and all the mics, and then all the information that's going to be going back to the recording studio is all going to be done over Dante, which means that we're very low latency. That audio can go anywhere. The headphone set that my talent is going to wear will probably have a Studio Tech belt pack or something similar that will be I can route whatever audio I want to that. It's just going to be so convenient to have all of those options. And so when you start getting multiple sources and your grid starts to look like mine, you got to figure out a way to make this make sense. And so if it's like I need to connect a bunch of belt packs to my radius, well, I can just type in belt and expand all the belt packs. And if I know that my channels are labeled correctly with unifying, it could say intercom, it could say talk or whatever. Well, now I've just got the talking channels from the transmitters to the actual radius sources that are expecting it. So that's so simple to do. And I think that these search bars honestly get overlooked. It seems like such a simple thing, but I think they get overlooked very often inside Dante Controller because people are like, all right, we got to do this. We'll expand all. And I was guilty of this when I started using Dante Controller. And I'm like, okay, talk 1, director talk needs to go to, and these were not labeled. I think it needs to go to radius 1, and I would click it, and it wasn't great. Now, if I wanted to use the search bar or the grid for this, I can just isolate those ones that I know that I need and then go through and connect them. But the best way to do this, honestly, is to open the device view, especially when you get this many, and you have available channels, and I know that I'm just talking about my belt packs, and now I can just drag the director, I can drag executive, I can drag moderator, boom, 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 super easy to do, and it just links them up right away. So That's the really fast way to do it. And if you have audio coming over these channels, it will then show you that audio is linked and working by showing you a signal, a green speaker signal going right here. So that's a very convenient, very quick way to manage this. The other thing that I was going to show you is, you'll notice down here I have multicast audio bandwidths, and I'm running 91 megs. Well, it's actually not necessary, because this radius has kicked on a bunch of multicast channels that I don't need. And so what you can actually do is I can delete these by selecting the multicast flow and just clicking delete, or clicking this button down here, delete. And as we get rid of those multicast flows, now I only need the top 8, which goes down here to Dante out channel 8. Okay, so it's just this as the multicast flow. The rest of them don't need to be a multicast because I'm not using them right now. But I've got 8 channels: party line 1 left, party line 1 right, party line mono, party line Vox, back to soundboard, team audio, director's audio, and Dante out. Those 8 channels. Now if I close this down, boom, baby, 16 megs. That's the whole transmit going on this network, is a multicast flow. It's 8 channels of multicast all put together, and they're going out to my network, which is literally one switch at this point, and it's only 16 megs on the wire instead of 91. So if you have a DSP that has multiple multicast workflows that you're not using, get rid of them, and it lightens that load substantially. What on earth? Substantially, when you really don't need it. You don't need that many. So it's hopefully that's helpful. I'm sure that you've spoken about this, but what's the bridge to connect wirelessly to a belt pack? What's the bridge? Say that one more time. Are you talking about something in here? No. Do you mean Turtle AV's Dante bridge? Is that what you mean? Just a slight so, or are you talking about Studio Techs? They have something called Bridge. So he says, how are you connecting to the intercom belt packs? So the belt packs are wires, just like Clearcom. They're powered via PoE, and they are a single cable connection that looks like a little Comcast belt pack. Let me load it up here. We have the 37.2As, I believe. These are the belt packs, and then on the bottoms of them is a Dante Ethernet port, and so you can run a headset depending on what headset you have. We have TRS headsets, but they're just hardlined via PoE. And honestly, my positions that I currently have are stationary positions. My camera ops are not floating. They could, but they're not. They're stationary, and so I have 2 camera operators that are plugged into their Blackmagic studio cameras. But then these belt packs are at stations as well, and so we plug them in primary PoE Ethernet into the Dante VLAN, and they are issued IP addresses out of that DHCP. And you get a little link light here at the bottom, and these lights all come online when they're working. And then I just plug in a simple gamer headset, which is like $30 on Amazon, but it has good isolation on the ears. But they are wired units. Like, how does the audio get to the intercom units? Yeah, so they're wired, and I custom those wires. Some of them have a lot of leeway, a lot of room, and some of them are pretty tight, because our ProPresenter team, our media operations team, sits at a desk, and so the belt pack sits on the desk in front of them, and if they want to talk, they can just click the button on the desk. Studio Technologies also make desktop units. Some of them have like microphones. They're announcer producer consoles, but some of them also have the ability to have a headset plugged into them. So they're is it this guy? I'm trying to remember. Announcer's console. Which one has the phones? That one's a standard microphone. That one is standard. Interpreter's console. That's cool. This, though, is what this is probably the one that we should go with. If I were to need another belt pack for some reason, then I would go with something like this. So, no wireless? Correct. So they are not wireless units, just because my team is stationary. We're not moving around. And so we get on headsets at 9:21 is kind of the deadline on a Sunday morning. We all get on headsets, and then we start talking through. We do a full technical walkthrough every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. So when 9 o'clock happens, I need to do better about figuring out a way to like signal to the team that we're doing the walkthrough, because I'm always rounding them up. But yeah, if there was a way to signal the team that the walkthrough is going to happen, then that would be great. So something like this would work really well for our Pro Presenter team, because there are we don't need all these functions, but the back of this thing, it's a desktop unit and it has a TRS headset, right? So that's very straightforward and simple to use. But we do need like an announcer console. I wish there was a way to like filter results, because I want to see. Ooh, an under the desk unit. That's cool. I want to see everything with a 3-point. Whoops. So here, like I just need a TRS connection on there, which that unit does not have. It's not super typical on these to have TRS, so it doesn't surprise me too much. I'm just going to open these in new tabs because we're wasting a lot of money, or a lot of time going back and forth. Cough button. Nope. This guy. Nope. This guy. Nope. That's essentially what I need, though, is just like 2 buttons, you know, straightforward. TRS on the back. So not that one. And not this one. So it looks like maybe they don't make an announcer's desk that has TRS, sorry. Esports console, maybe this one, because everybody's got. Yeah, there it is. So TRS headset, and the buttons that you have are main and talkback. Excuse me. So if you had to get wireless units, any idea on a way to actually do that? We need fully remote units for our floor camera ops. Well, probably going to end up having to cross that road sooner than later. Dante does not really like wireless, like Wi-Fi. It's not that it can't be done. It introduced latency issues. Now with intercoms, you're not really too concerned about latency problems, right? Because whether it gets there in 1 millisecond or it gets there in 20 milliseconds, it doesn't really matter. But I'm pretty sure that the PTP clock stuff is where you're going to have issues. And and how to actually use it. So you would need to somehow enable Wi-Fi on your Dante VLAN, and then have a Dante enabled device that could talk Wi-Fi. And I just don't think those things exist. Let's just do a quick little search here. See what we can come up with. It's a good question. Again, I think think you might run into issues. There is a product called the RTS Romeo, ROAMEO. Let's go ahead and Google that. It is a wireless-based intercom system, professionally used wireless intercoms. Is it Dante, though? I don't see. Wireless intercom belt pack. Uninterruptible, high quality, license free. It's a digital wireless belt pack system that integrates directly with Dante via OMNEO IP technology, which supports Dante Audio Transmit. The belt pack connects wirelessly to an access point, delivering high-quality, full duplex intercom audio over a dedicated wireless link. Oh, man. But, it's not standard Wi-Fi. So that's what I think I'm seeing here. It's a standalone unit. And not a standalone unit, but it's a belt pack that talks to its own proprietary device. So this is, okay, that makes sense how you might get away with that. Basically, you buy the transmitter and the receiver. Yeah. So that's what this is. Who knows what this costs? But this would be great for a mobile person. And then the output on here. Whoa. Let's see the front, the back. Okay, so it's just Wi-Fi, Ethernet. I would love to test this because, man, that would be really cool. More specs. It says it integrates with Dante, but does it? And what's the price, right? Where do I buy it? So contact us, intercom headsets, digital matrix, wireless, party line. Yeah, so you get a transmitter and a receiver, and transmitter just trying to here, yeah, transmitters, receivers. It's a cool idea. Runs on its own frequency, 5-pin female headsets. Let's look at the photos real quick of this guy again one more time. Is there a bottom view somewhere? Here we go. Yoink. Charge, auxiliary I/O, headset, 5 pins. Boy, you'd think that they would put power jack, 5-pin headset. Oh, here. Oh, input connection. Auxiliary. This is for the headset here. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you had roaming people, this would be something worth trying. You would need to find a place to demo this, obviously, but kind of a cool idea. I wonder if these guys, RTS, wonder if they're going to be at the show. Let's go ahead and head over to the NAB show real quick. It's almost noon, by the way, so I do need to register now. I'm already done that. I do need to wrap it up here, but here we go. Show floor. Floor plan. All right, here we go. Keyword is RTS. Whoops, that's RTA. That's different. RTS intercom systems. Well, let's rock and roll. Do all I need, though? So, like this here, look. There's a, there's like a big, huge honking device here. Do I have to have that as the brains and... Oh, look, Dante. Oh, how's it doing that, I wonder? Shoot. All I want is to buy a transmitter and a receiver and have two really high quality Dante integratable. It's $22.45 US at B&H for the receiver. And then how much for the belt packs? That's the next question, right? And is that all you need? So their RTS is huge. Wow, they're going to have a huge... I think they've updated this show floor since we've looked last, because Insta360 always has a massive booth. Hollyland, RTS. I need to add this to my planner. So let's do that for a hot second. Oh, whoops. I am not a robot. Allegedly. Okay, here we go. RTS saved into my program. What are my show? Where am I gonna go? Look at all these peeps I'm gonna have to see. Who's in the West Hall I'm gonna see? Telstream, Peplink, Ubiquity. Yeah, okay. That sounds right. They won't be like day one, but they'll be one of those days. Central Hall, 21. It looks super cool, though. I agree, and I will definitely go to NAB and look and see what I can see. So there they are here in Central Hall. They are close by to... Is Black Magic in this hall? No. So this will probably be our first day. Rode, Netgear, Bird Dog's not here, so they must be in the other big one. But we always go Black Magic, Bird Dog's day 2, because it's just too many people day 1 on Sunday. So yeah, we've got a lot to see, but I definitely want to talk to RTS and talk to them about that option, because that's kind of a cool idea. And I need to put that on my checklist. What a great idea. Thanks for saying something. Wireless Dante headset. If it's, $3,000 or $4,000 to get started, that's something, right? But if then you just have to buy a single pack after that to add to the team. I don't suspect we're going to have too many roaming cameras, but it would be nice to have a headset that could move around. And also you could give it to like a runner, or a camera op that's on the ground. And I'm thinking about adding a camera op with an actual jacket. When my friend comes back from being deployed in Europe, and hopefully that will be near October, then we want to see if we can do some fun stuff, because he's got a great production eye for things. All right, so I'm here, NAB checklist, and I'm going to add a new category, and this is going to be RTS intercom systems, and in there, wireless Dante intercom. Yoink. Oh, that's cool. All right, great. There's going to be a lot to look at in that hallway, because look at this: Scarhoy, Grass Valley, Dante by Audinate. So I've got friends that'll be at that booth, and then RTS, Broadfield, Insta360. This is just the first hallway. Audio Technica, Small Rig, Lilliput, Netgear, Sony, B&H, which B&H we may not hang around too much. But then we turn the corner, come back down, Markertech, down this hallway to Telscript, Canon, go around the corner for Canon, who they're going to have a massive booth. And then you got Atmos on this side. And who else? It'll be about lunchtime. And then around the corner, Marshall. Oh, we didn't even talk about that yet. Shoot. All right, give me one more second because I want to talk about that. Our worship space is fairly large, so wireless is going to be the trick. If I can't make it to NAB, I will eagerly anticipate your report. Is it time for a return to the legendary interview hat? Of the legendary interview hat? Potentially. I'm very surprised that Doug showed up. He is he's one of those guys on YouTube that you see and you never think you'll have any interaction with them, and then one day they pop up in the chat, and that was stinking cool to have him show up and give me some very helpful tips. I'm very happy that he was able to solve two of my problems in about 3 minutes. So bravo, shout out everybody. You gotta subscribe to Doug Johnson Productions. He is got some amazing ideas over on his channel, and he does it for a living. Like, he's the real deal. So he is out there testing that stuff. And then Osbot, which I'm not particularly interested in their stuff, but I want to go and look. I want to see what they've got. Then I don't really have anything inside TV and radio, although my direct report, who will be coming with me, Dave, he may be interested in wandering through here because it's also kind of something that we do. So we may wander through here just to see, and then that might round out day one. Like I said, more of these have... Oh, look, Monoprice is here. Let's add that. More of these booths have been filled out since we talked last, which is like a month ago. And this show is 1 month away. It starts on the 19th, right? So today's the 19th of March. We are 1 month away. So pretty awesome stuff there. Industry leader in manufacture, install technical furniture. Okay, I want to put that to the planner. Just to see what they got. Hopefully it's a good, impressive booth. Who else? Grass Valley. The only reason I have Grass Valley on here is because I want to go up to one of their people and say, so what do you actually do? Like, what is the thing you do? Is it just only high-end broadcast, or is it something other than that? Because I can never figure out what Grass Valley actually does. Ever since the first time I heard of Grass Valley was when Dr. Cross left New Tech, NAB, whatever, and went to Grass Valley as their like head honcho guy for a while, and then it didn't really work out. And then so I started like Googling it. This was when I was at Bird Dog. So I was like, what is it that they actually do there? And I couldn't figure it out. So I still don't know, and I just want somebody to like tell me and impress me. That would be great. I'd be all about that. Clearcom, we're not probably going to stop at Clearcom this year because we have a Magewell. Okay, we need to go to Magewell because we have a system already, and there's no need for us to look any further at this time. So I've got an AV Lifesaver adapter that lets me connect an intercom belt pack to a computer or phone's TRRS port. Integrating comms to Zoom is super handy. Could be a good solution for bringing people in wirelessly. Have a Zoom call that people can join, even just to be able to listen. You could even use a USB-C Dante adapter or a virtual sound card. That's true. There are many ways to skin this cat, which is such a morbid phrase. Yeah, so there are a lot of intercom systems. There are several, not a lot, but there are several that you just join like a Discord and then your phone becomes your intercom. And that's like very straightforward, basic, like that, and it works. I've seen it work. Totally makes sense to me that, if you're just trying to get off the ground and have an option, definitely. Oh, Hollyland. I'm going to put Hollyland on here, but I'm not terribly interested in what they've got going on because they've got headsets mostly, like headsets and microphones, and I think I'm good. If I buy a microphone, it's probably going to be a Rode. It's not going to be a Hollyland in that fashion. That's what we're going to suggest. Anyway, the So yeah, you can just fire up a Discord server and then have everybody join with their microphone off of their phone, and then everybody just wears their own earbuds, and that's it. That's the intercom system. I really like the fact that the high level of integration that we have now with Dante. Basically, I can add anything I want to the intercoms or reduce anything that I want from the intercom. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I like the one that I have, is what I'm trying to say. PoE powered Dante speakers. There are many ways to paint that fence. Yeah, so I've looked at the PoE Dante speakers, the integrated ones. There's really only like one pair out there and they want $600 or $700 per speaker. And I thought, man, if I was in the manufacturing world, I would do that in a heartbeat. Because yes, every studio, every production room, like Yamaha, I'm not too sure. Like, yeah, you can add a dongle to the back of it for $150, but like, why not integrate it, right? Like, make it inexpensive, make them high quality, brand name recognized speakers, and add the Dante card in there to decode, and that can then decode left and right, and you can daisy them together, and that's that. Or you could have one card in each, I guess. But the cards can't cost more than $150 because that's all the AVIOs are. So a decode card, it's got to be under $100 to actually make it, manufacture it. And so the speakers could be $200 or $300 and be entry-level desktop speakers and work really well. I have a set of speakers here that I will, when I move to the barn, I will put an AVIO decoder on them for left and right, and then that will be that. So then they'll be Dante enabled, which means then I can route a desk microphone or this thing, right, as my intercoms and have their audio coming out my speakers. So there's that. Okay, one more haul, and then we probably should do something today because I've got to run back to my kids' school because there's a program this evening, of course. So the West Hall is, there are some folks here. This is the one we already looked at. The North Hall, that's right. The West Hall, you have to like go on a trek across Vegas to get to it. Okay, so here is our morning travels, our daily travels. This one's got more people kind of filling out the booths as well. So we're going to look closely and see if there's anything else outstanding that we want to go and see. A lot of these booths will fill up like the last 2 weeks because they'll run sales and specials. So Kilo View is here. That's funny. Bird Dog and Kilo View are right next to each other. Bird Dog is there. This looks like vMix. Might pop into Legrand. Not too sure what they have going on, but put it on my map at least. IDA Imaging. They're okay. They've got, that is definitely a computer generated picture. So they've got some stuff. VizRT is here. A seating area. Oh, Sonnet. Yeah, let's go see Sonnet. I'm going to ask them why their crap is so expensive. Elgato is here. This will be a fun day. I'm looking forward to these so far. Oh, New Blue. I got to go there because you know who's at New Blue? Buddy from Bird Dog is there. My friend from California. I was just talking to him about he's going to be at the New Blue bench, and of course for some reason my brain is blanking on, where is he here? There he is. Ian Foster. Ian, I'm so sorry. Yes, Ian will be at NAB, and I'm going to go by and say hi because he was a good friend at Bird Dog. He was a good salesman too, and yeah, it'll be great to catch up with him. What else we got here? Any of these where you see and you're like, oh, John, you should definitely go in there. Just say so. Be interested. Oh, food concessions. Expensive food concessions. Liftgate, These are all cool. HP. I don't really need to see any of these guys. The weather company, that's always funny that they're there. Seagate Technologies, nah. Ooh, LiveView. Maybe we'll pop into LiveView. They're not applicable to us right now, but it's always fun to see what they've got going on. None of these I quite recognize. Main stage. All right. G&D. They're KVM guys. Good stuff. And any of these guys? Nope. Arista. Might poke my head into Arista and see what they got going on. They kind of talk over you, but that may just be me from the past and not necessarily giving them a valid chance. There's X Keys right there. Surprised X Keys and vMix aren't closer together, but you know, it is what it is. LiveView gets plenty of money from me. Hey, if it's the way that you make it work, then it's all good. As long as they're not bleeding you dry. Okay, this is Logic Keyboard. They were there last year, and the guy was like giving away keyboards or like half price or whatever. But I have this keyboard, and it's really hard for me to give it up, which is the Logitech Business MX keyboard. I don't want to not give it up necessarily, but these keyboards are all shortcuts for like specific programs. So if you spend all day in DaVinci or you spend all day doing specific things, they're helpful to have. But anyways, we'll check them out. Sanken Microphones. This guy we talked to last year because we have a microphone position that people just stand up and talk behind that's live on stage, and I would love to remove the microphone and use a shotgun in that space. But and get it off camera is I think what I'm trying to say. PTZ Optics is also there. So I'm going to stop by Sanken again. They were really informative. Ross Video is... I don't know if I need to go into Ross or not. I guess this would be a good place to see... what are they called? Those chassis. We need to probably poke our heads into there. So, and maybe Avid as well. We'll add it to the planner. Nothing major. AJA is there. I'll peek my head in there. Blackmagic Design. Probably don't need that one, but you know, Blackmagic's here, and they're usually at the main entrance. Yeah, so they have that whole corner. So the way you walk through here is like this, or like this. I guess you probably shouldn't because you would miss all those guys in the middle. But anyways, it's a huge place. So then that's kind of the end of that day. One thing I was going to mention to you guys before I sign off here. I am looking for a box camera. Like I said earlier in the show, and then we never talked about it. I'm looking for a box camera, 2 actually, for that new recording space. I don't really want to spend $1,000 on each camera, but I don't really have a choice. I might be able to get a like you could do like a Mackie Ultra, which is a bird dog camera. It's not a very wide lens. It's like 81 degrees, whereas you could get a Marshall camera that is 110 degrees or something like that. So I really want the wide eye in that space, specifically in the space for my production. But then the secondary camera that will be inside the recording booth. But then the secondary camera, I want it to be actually a little bit more cinematic because kind of like this as a secondary option for the live stream. So I would set up a playlist again that basically is this shot and another shot. And if I can get them at a reasonable price, then I might buy multiples. So I'm still thinking it through. I really want to, when I go to Bird Dog in a month at NAB, I'm going to take a very close look at the Mackie Ultra, because I want to. That might be an easier way to do it, and I might be able to get it for through Keystone. I might be able to get it for a decent price, but I'm not 100% sure what I am going to do there, because there's a lot of options, and the Marshalls, I've seen the Marshall sensors and lenses and builds, and they are very industry standard for like control rooms, which is kind of what I'm thinking. It's kind of what I want, but no idea if I'm going to go that route or not. I didn't know if anybody had any experience with Marshall cameras as POV cameras for those types of spaces, but that's one of the things I'm developing, which is why behind the TV there are 2 network ports. One is for a NDI decoder of some sort, and one is for a camera, an Ethernet PoE enabled NDI camera. So I'm open to options. It needs to be PoE, needs to be NDI, but outside of that, what options do I have, right? There's also a good chance I'm going to have to buy another network switch here, because I'm probably going to run out of ports. Whether that is housed inside the recording booth or inside my network rack, probably the network rack. But I've only got 8 PoE ports on this Netgear switch, and I think I'm using at least 4 of them in this configuration, so I'm probably going to max out pretty fast with more cameras and more Dante and all of that. Anyway, so yeah, I've got network. I was actually really tempted to run another network line, because the TVs will probably have a network port, but honestly, I'm not going to be doing a lot of TV watching in that space. I'm probably more likely going to be connecting it via Wi-Fi and just dealing with it. So that is more realistic, and for the sake of bulk of cables, I think I'll just let it be Wi-Fi in there and be done with it. But yeah, this box that I had shown you earlier, this one right here, is you got 2 Ethernet in there, and then power 1 stud over, just to try and keep Ethernet and power separated a bit. But then the TV will go in between these boxes. It'll cover up these boxes, because this is 7 feet in the air, and then I'll mount some 2x4s between those studs, and then I will mount the TV to that. So great times. I'm very excited. I cannot wait to keep this thing going. Money is becoming the issue. I do have some side projects that are on the way. Keystone is actually doing projects right now, so once those get completed and delivered, then payment will be due, and that'll be great. We'll get that all kind of squared away here in the next couple of weeks. Waiting on the next project, actually, trying to figure out what that is. But Keystone is doing stuff, and that takes me to, hey, I can actually help you with your network if needed. I am a Netgear certified, whatever that means. I'm a Netgear certified guy that has all the levels I can get with Netgear, including AV over IP switching. I am a level 2 with AV, Netgear AV, so that's the end of that coursework for now. The level 3 will be next, but I also have switching for AV over IP, which is the one for the business class. I am a sales partner with them, not that I've ever had to use any of that, but I have inroads to getting large installs, securing good pricing for large installs. And then I'm a level 2 Dante certified, which I need to get my level 3. That one is a little bit more involved from what I hear, but I need to commit the time to do that. So yeah, I have the certifications to help you with your 4250, 4350 installations, troubleshoot things. The real key for me, I find now, is getting experience using the products that plug into these protocols. So KVMs, all the Dante stuff, all of that. I am talking with Dante about potentially doing some more training with them, so I can speak that more fluently to my customers and offer quick solutions that are reliable. Honestly, Dante's very rock solid. especially in small scale, but as it scales, it seems to be working really well as well. So if you need help with your network in any way, with your AV network, I can certainly help on the Netgear side of things. I do strongly recommend that you buy the correct network infrastructure for what it is you're trying to do, and that on the low-end prosumer side is the Netgear 4250 line. On the commercial, like professional level, the 4350s are now the backbone, and you can even do something like cores or dual cores, which are 4500s. Those are really good as well. So as your needs expand and grow, there are lots of options. I can just at the very least offer you a quote, try and get you better pricing on your Netgear stuff. So let me know if you want to buy things. Maybe Keystone AV can help you get a better price. So let me know if you have anything like that, and be happy to assist. All right, that's it for me, guys. It is now 12:15. We've talked about way more than I thought we would, but I have loved today's show just because we did do a little bit of advanced configuration of Dante Controller. We also had Doug Johnson drop by from Doug Johnson Productions, and he helped me walk through a couple of trouble things that I was having with Composer, and got that all squared away. He is the originator of the Dante intercom system over Radius Composer, and man, that was fun. That was exciting to have him around and to be dropping in the chat. So really good stuff. I need to probably go and eat something because I haven't yet, just coffee. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves, folks. It's always fun to have you along for the ride. Thanks for keeping the chat alive. And we'll do it again next week. That's the plan, at least. For me to be back online. The next break that I have is... Oh, not NAB. The next break I have will be like end of May. So we're headed to Ontario in the end of May. So that will be the next time I think the show will be paused. But up until then, let's keep it going. I'll figure out what to talk about next week, and then we'll look for you in the chat. So thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That helps me out big time. For those 600 people that are subscribed over on the Bird Dog John channel, this is the one that's alive. And so feel free to subscribe here too. I would love to have you along for that ride. And you can join me for the live chats or just watch the clips that show up. But take care of yourselves, everybody. Much appreciated. And we will definitely see you all in the future shows that are planned here coming up. So, hey, thanks, John. We'll talk soon. Appreciate it, Stephen. Always a pleasure to have you around. Be safe in Atlanta. Hey, have a great day. It's always nice to hang out. Agreed. Angus, always a pleasure. So thanks for coming along, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.